Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday, wherever you are. We greatly appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for joining us at the CDIS 1-year anniversary celebration. It's been exactly 1 year since we founded CDIS. I can't believe how fast time has gone by. It's really hard to believe, that it's already been a year. My name is Jim Gokwe. I'm the co-founder of CDIS, or Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit. We founded it to create a platform for Congolese to network, share ideas and resources, and also to amplify the voice of Congolese experts across different fields. We first discussed the idea of CDIS in 2017. We started planning it in 2018, and the summit took place last year. We were all committed to executing a great event and doing our part to contribute and make an impact in the DRC and the diaspora. We're very proud of the impact that the CDIS had. Testimonials from attendees tell us about some of the initiatives they launched since then, from the manufacturing of face shields to fight COVID-19 in Bukavu, Lubumbashi, and Kinshasa, to the founding of an IT outsourcing firm. CDIS networked and are launching important initiatives as a result of their attendance at our summit, something we're all very proud of. We're continuing to work hard to build a community and do what we can to contribute positively in the diaspora and in America. I'm very grateful for your support and very excited for today's event. Thank you all for joining us today. Now I'll pass it on to my co-founder, Luco, for brief remarks as well.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We're so happy to have you here. I think Jim has kind of said all the bases in terms of what CDIS was about. But a year ago, a lot of you took a chance on us and decided to come and join us for our first inaugural Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit in New York City. And without your continued support throughout this 2019 to 2020 year, we couldn't have done all the things that we did without you guys. So thank you so much for being here with us each step of the way. And for the folks who have been tuning into every single one of our events and participating in all of our events, we truly, truly, truly thank you. So we hope that you will be able to enjoy this panel and be able to walk away with some insightful words from some of the panelists who are a part of our first Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit. And so we look forward to the discussion and we look forward to seeing you next year in Washington, DC.
Cool, and before we get started, I'll play a short video summarizing the highlights from last year's edition.
Okay, I'm hoping this little Africa region will have a little bit more responses.
And as Luca mentioned, the program will start very soon. Thank you all. Congo!
I think some of you went to the school and to Kalibuka. So can you put your hands, the one who can? Let me tell you, the people are going to have the best prescription to tell me what the solution they need to put on the table. So it's extremely important to just take the steps slowly.
But we have to make sure that people know women aren't just doing things behind the scenes, but we are at the forefront too.
And now they're called Refugee, and they work with refugee girls in Nairobi, supporting them. And they created beautiful tie-dye fabric, which I'm going to utilize in my collection.
You know, I'm happy, Nancy. When was the last time that you paid your taxes? Oh.
The Congolese intellectuals had to define and say, okay, the way business is done here, there's some practices that are okay.
The money that you are giving to people as loan, it's a deposit from somebody that collected.
With regards to the Kasai region, that's where we are starting one of our sickle cell disease awareness campaigns.
Are punished, are beaten, are incited, but schools must be places where children are encouraged to dream and become who they want to become.
Wrote down 9 things that the diaspora can do to help Congo become prosperous.
Thank you very much. And now I'll pass it on to Gloria to introduce the speakers today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gloria, and I am working with the CITES 2021 Planning Committee. I'm going to go right ahead and introduce our panelists and our moderator for today. First, I would like to start with our moderator is Dr. Kevin Ileka. He was born in Kinshasa, DRC. He is currently a research chemist for Bristol Myers Squibb. It's a biopharma company based in New Jersey, working on drug development and manufacturing. He also serves on the executive committee of the National Organization for the Advancement of Black Chemists and Chemical Engineers. On our panel, the first person I'd like to introduce is Kaleba Ngoyi Kasongo. She is the founder and executive director of Here Congo. It is a nonprofit organization based in Miami, Florida, with an affiliate in the DRC. Here Congo's vision is to realize a sustainable model of local support and lasting development for the people of Congo through women and youth empowerment and leadership. She previously worked for several years as an executive at Citibank and Oracle Corporations in the international development sector. Serge Nawej Chitembu is also a member of our panel today. He's the co-founder of Proxima Law, which is based in the DRC. He is a business lawyer by profession and a strategist, very knowledgeable about high-value complex projects and transactions. He is involved in many major projects in Africa and especially in the DRC, some of which received international coverage. Serge Nawej was named one of the most influential people of African descent and the Global 100 class of 2018 in the business and entrepreneurship category. Jeanette Mukoka. Jeanette is a development director for Bomoko, United for Congo. Bomoko develops unique initiatives promoting equal access for all Congolese to high quality healthcare, education, and sustainable agriculture solutions. Ms. Mukoka has 12 years of experience in both the corporate and nonprofit world and started her role as development director for Bomoko in September of 2016. Prior to her role at Bomoko, Ms. Mukoka worked as an anti-money laundering officer for Standard Bank and reported to its headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa. Christian Kaboba, he is the co-founder and chief of operations at BitHub Africa. BitHub is the leading blockchain accelerator and research hub in Kenya. In his capacity, Mr. Kaboba facilitates partnership between the hub, NGOs, international organizations, community groups, and technical specialists committed to supporting a new and inclusive global blockchain infrastructure. Part of this mandate has included raising awareness on the disruptive potential of blockchain technology, particularly to developing nations and emerging economies. Last, I have Kahindo Matene. She is the CEO and creative director of the brand Kahindo, founded in 2009. She's a graduate of the Illinois Institute of Art in Chicago. Ms. Matene was selected to take part in Macy's Chicago Fashion Incubator Program and was one of the contestants in season 12 of the Project Runway. Ms. Kahindo is a socially conscious women's wear brand that creates vibrant statement pieces that features bold colors and custom prints inspired by Ms. Matene's African heritage and globe-trotting travels. Kahindo supports ethical production and fair trade practices by partnering up with sewing co-ops and artisans in the US, Kenya, and the DRC to create sustainable jobs that pay for living wages. Thank you. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Gloria, for the introduction. First off, I want to thank our panelists for being here. We're really excited to hear basically a one-year update from last year's event. So for the people in the audience, if you could just make sure that your microphones are on mute. And also for better viewing, if you can go into speaker view, that way you can focus on whoever is talking at any given time. So I'll start off my first question. I'll open it up to the panelists. Unfortunately, Serge couldn't make it today. He had a last minute engagement. So we have our 4 panelists. So I'm gonna go by who I see on my screen. So Kahindo, how did you find out about CDIS and what were your expectations? Were you surprised, positively and negatively?
Yeah. Hello, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. I found out about CDIS, I believe, from Jim. Jim invited me, and I think I met Jim and his sisters initially when I moved to New York from Chicago. And it was, initially we're part of a WhatsApp group, and I was just pleasantly surprised to see that there was a huge Congolese community in New York. I've never been part of such a big community. So having CDIS was incredible because, you know, that community was really showcased and people came from all over the States, actually international as well. So it was just great to see a congregation of, you know, young Congolese professionals who want to really take Congo to the next level and are so passionate about our culture and our country. So I was pleasantly surprised, you know, by just all of the positivity, you know, in the room. It was a great event, and I'm so glad I was part of it.
Kaleba?
Yes. Well, it was really an amazing event. I was very surprised, actually, just like Ahinda said, to see such a great group of Congolese professionals and whom I've never known. I lived in New York like for 19 years, like in my life here in the United States. But to come to see a group of, you know, engaged and committed young Congolese are ready to just, you know, bring back whatever they have as far as talents to the DRC, and also work together. That has been always some of like, you know, the, you know, missing links to make us, you know, grow as a Congolese community. I was very happy to see that. And, you know, I continue to wish that we could see more of that, but just the number of Congolese that were there to move forward with Congo was very encouraging. And kudos to the organizers for the first event to be able to bring everyone from all, you know, from all over and different, you know, I would say different platforms. So it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Jeanette?
So first of all, I have a disclaimer. I'm in Kinshasa, and between the power going on and off and the internet bugging, you know, so that's my disclaimer. I apologize if it cuts off. But I heard about CDIS by Eric Mboma, and he is a friend but former boss of mine. We worked together at Standard Bank, and he was the CEO and I was the anti-money laundering officer at the time. And he told me wonderful things about Laura, and that's how I found out, and I was asked to be a panelist. And I must say that I was pleasantly surprised, although I did know that it must be something great. I just did not know how great it would be. And yeah, that's how I found out, because I'm based in Kinshasa, and I was able to travel last year to the US and meet all of you wonderful people. But that's how I that's how I got to know CIS, through Eric Mboma, who's linked to Laura.
And Christian?
Yeah, so hi everyone. So I'll be coming to this conversation from my background in technology development. I'll be sharing a lot of my experience in software engineering and how I'm using it to bring the change we need in our community. I've been running a technology company in Nairobi for the past 8 years. And this is how I happened to meet up with Lukogo 2 years ago in Nairobi. And it was quite interesting for us because we had a lot of discussion on how we can bring in international students back in Africa to give them some first-hand experience about doing business in Africa, technology, development, and many other aspects. So last year, I was quite exciting to see CDIS events run by the leadership committee, including Lukogo herself. And since we happened to run an event with Howard University here in the US in September, and the event happened to be around the same time, it was a good opportunity for me to come and speak and meet up with the Congolese diaspora, because as much as I was based in Nairobi, I always dreamt to do something back home. So for me, this was an opportunity to connect with the Congolese in the diaspora and see how we can work together and do something back home. And I'll have a lot to share today on the connection I made at the event last year and what we've been able to do.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess along the line, I can follow up with you, Christian. How did attending CDIS inform your perspective on the Congolese diaspora, professionally and personally?
Yeah, so I will say the event was really great. I think there was a great touch of our culture at the event, and it was a great opportunity to make connection with Congolese doing business back home. You know, we always sometimes complain about some of the challenges we have back home, but it was a good opportunity to attend the event last year and to see actually some of the folks who have tried to go back home and to do something and to be successful. So that was really a great challenge that was, was sent to us, and we took that opportunity ourselves. We took that challenge ourselves to make something happen. So last year I met someone like Tommy C. and Dussel, and as I promised in my panel to start a technology hub back home, a center to train software engineers, we were able to do something this year despite COVID and all the challenges we had. We were able to set up a company structure back home, ujengolab.com, to be able to provide that environment to train and build capacity for software engineers and build that pool of talent where we can connect them for the project we have in the country. Some of the things, the reality is there's still a lot of expectation that we have about the diaspora. We haven't really, committed ourselves at the level that we want things to happen. But I mean, I think this is something that is still happening moving forward. But it was really nice to hear what other Congolese in the diaspora are doing and how we are really willing to get together and connect to do something back home.
Yep. So you are based in Kinshasa right now. So are there any stereotypes that we in the diaspora and people outside of diaspora need to dispel about Congo and its diaspora? Jeanette?
Yes, absolutely. There are many stereotypes when, we talk about Congo in general, as a Congolese, having grown up in the United States and having visited some other African countries, the first stereotype that I hear when I say that I'm Congolese is, do you dance ndombolo? Which is annoying because I don't, but it's great because it shows our artistry, but at the same time, it's a negative connotation, at least towards me, because I think there's more to us than music and dance, which of course I maintain is a wonderful thing. Another stereotype that I believe that CIS does dispel, and that's why we need to do more work together in promoting everything that you guys are doing, is the fact that there are serious people within the Congolese diaspora and in Congo in general. I know that Kaliba and I had a long discussion over brunch about this a couple of months ago, where a lot of people think, and even amongst ourselves, we don't believe that we're serious. Usually we think that we're up to no good. And we have a tendency of trusting other people before we trust our own. So I think those are the main stereotypes we do need to dispel, because after attending the first summit, I was so proud to be Congolese that day, meeting so many young people, older people involved, educated professionals. It really made me proud to be Congolese. And this is a part of us that I feel we need to communicate more on and to share with other people. So yeah, I do think there are, and these are just two stereotypes that I've mentioned, but they're the most apparent to me. But those are the two that I think need to be dispelled even within the African continent and within our own community.
Practice my dumb every day. I still can't get it right. Kaleva, do you want to add to that?
Absolutely. We had a lovely brunch in Kinshasa following CDIS, by the way, with Jeanette. So, unity among the Congolese, in the Congolese, community is a huge, stereotype that has been really dispelled by CDIS. We are known not to work together, as Congolese, and really not, what Jeanette said, not trust each other, but really not encouraging, others to move forward, to work as a group so we can succeed together. And as she's been asked if she dances Dombolo, I've been asked if I was Congolese many times, and when I'm like attending other panels and everything, it's like, well, your name sounds Congolese. Are you really Congolese? Oh, are you married to a white person? No. My husband is Congolese as well. And so those are the things that, and I think that you're able to showcase on that day. They're extremely talented Congolese out there, and we want to work together. And I saw the effort to bring everyone together and encourage and promote unity among the Congolese diaspora, talents, and that's something that I was really able to take advantage of. So that's something to be encouraged for the CDIS, and thank you for doing that. But I would like to also give credit to Laura, whom I didn't say introduced me to CDIS. I didn't respond to that question. She actually researched and identified quite a few Congolese leaders on LinkedIn. And when she reached out to me, myself asked her if she was Congolese. So, and I said, "Are you Congolese?" She said, "Yes." So yeah, Laura Coupe did a great job about that. So that's one thing I wanted to add. Yeah.
So Kaindo, in your fashion, you really infuse Congolese culture in a lot of the clothing and fabrics that you use. So my question to you, how important is it for the diaspora to not lose that culture as we go forward and, really try to catapult Congo into a better tomorrow?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And, I feel like infusing my Congolese heritage, in my business and throughout my business and throughout the whole supply chain is really important to me, and it's the mission of my brand, and it's extremely important. I've been living in the US for over 25 years, and the more I live here, the more I just want to feel connected to my culture and heritage. And it's really one of the reasons, as difficult as it is, I decided to move my manufacturing from New York to Goma, because I really not only wanted to showcase my culture, Congolese heritage in my clothing designs, but I also wanted to showcase to the world that quality products for the international market can be made in Congo and can be made in Africa. And that's my mission. And, you hear a lot about, aid being given to Congo and, to other African countries. And, I've always felt that instead of aid, we need to provide jobs, right? We need to create sustainable jobs. And that's the mission of my brand. And manufacturing and working with artisans in Goma, my hometown, has been very challenging. And even before I started, a lot of people told me that was a bad idea, right? Goma of all places, I might as well, it's better if I do it in Kinshasa. But, when I found this artisan community of women, who just wanted jobs, they wanted to be able to earn a fair living wage, I just had to work with them. And it's so fulfilling to have, created I mean, I'm starting small, so they made 100 pieces, which I then shipped to Rent the Runway. So when people rent the pieces, my pieces, they can see, you know, made in DR Congo, which is just, I'm so proud of that. So yeah. You know, just my brand, you know, it not only showcases my Congolese heritage, but also it has a social impact, which I'm extremely proud of.
So from fashion to tech, Christian, when we talk about blockchain, how important is it to keep Congo and Central Africa in the forefront when we're coming up with new technologies and new ways to do blockchain? You're on mute.
Yeah, one of the things that we need to know is that Africa has the youngest population, and Africa has many resources today that are not yet untapped. And our youngest population today, I think it's one of the great resources. And for many years, I think the system we've used have not brought a lot of values to the way we do business or the way we interact with each other. And that's one of the biggest problems we're still having in Africa on how we are trading with different countries or how we're trading among ourselves. So technology today is playing a very big role. But for us to be able to use the technology, we basically, first of all, need to educate ourselves. We need to learn how to use it, and then we can see how we can use it for various aspects in the financial models, in the educational aspects, in the health industry. And I think this is something we've already started doing in Kenya successfully, building the tech ecosystem to drive new technology like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And we feel like this is where the world is heading. I think COVID-19 has taught us a very good lesson where all of us are able to connect virtually and work from home. So this is the same aspect that blockchain is bringing to the decentralization. How do we, the power that has been centralized to the government, how do we decentralize it? How can anyone else be able to work from their houses and able to run a financial system and hold it accountable? How can you build resources for the government and being the stakeholders as a population or political parties or different institutions that are being involved in the aspect of managing a data center? How can a health system being monitored not just by one institution, but with different aspects? And we've seen some of the systems that we're using back home today, they're failing because there's no that coordination. If, for example, today you have an accident, if you want to access your data, you need to go to the insurance company send you to your hospital send you to the police station send you, and all of this can be aggregated on a one database that managed by all these stakeholders, and it provides you many advantages when you need to access some service to government. And the same applying to when you need to access the loans. There is no that database that managed by all these services or shared across that allows to build a credit scoring for you so that you are able to access many of these services. So for me, this new technology are something that we can leverage on today to define our financial model and break those capitalist models that we've been using for many years that's not bringing value to the grassroots, to the people at the base of the pyramid. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's really important that that when we talk about technology, we really empower our young people and the next generation. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. So this year presented a lot of challenges. Christian, you mentioned about people staying home, and I hope most of us stayed home. And if you had to go outside, you wear your masks. So question for Kaleba. So how has this year and the pandemic presented challenges to you and your work in terms of inspiring and uplifting, women and women entrepreneurs here in the United States and in the Congo?
Wow, that is that's a full load there. First of all, just travel has made it very difficult to be able to be on the ground and monitor the work and continue to inspire the team, because really when they see you coming there and bringing more of your support, it just means it changes a great deal of things there in the DRC. So working from a distance here and being able to move the mission of the organization was challenging. We were limited in terms of even the activities that we had to undertake. We have a center where we train women and girls and youth. They could meet, so for several months, as they were locked down there in DRC as well, in particularly in Goma and in Kolwezi. But we had to stay alive and keep everything moving. Otherwise, then you start losing your beneficiaries, and you start really losing the mission and I mean the vision of the organization. So we had to take a different shift and continue our work differently, and concentrate on our community outreach program. So our beneficiaries, what we've done in the past is just raise awareness about different diseases, different issues in the community. So COVID-19 presented an opportunity to do so. We use the same beneficiaries we work with UNICEF to go out and raise awareness about COVID-19 in the minds. Even then, it was difficult, because then issues about social distancing was not well respected in the DRC. You have to continuously, letting them know that they can get sick. At that point where everything was at peak here, nothing was, there was some sort of almost nothing going on in the DRC, where we didn't see any numbers, cases of COVID-19. Then following, like a few months later, then it started getting very, very bad. Issues with even testing our own staff to be able to go back to the center, testing our beneficiaries, very limited resources to do so, to allow them to go back and continue the training that we offer. And along with that comes difficulties, for instance, for myself to be able to follow up with the funding. Most of our funding is done on the ground, so it was very challenging that I couldn't go and see the different organizations or partners that we frequently take to the center to be able to follow our work and continue funding. So there's these are the main things I see, but the challenges were definitely there for sure. It made it very difficult. So I'm waiting on the first available flight. I mean, my flight has been booked since March, but now in October I'm hopping there and going back. I'm very happy that the airports have been open. Yeah.
So Jeanette, as a healthcare professional and being on the ground, I'm sure you've seen firsthand some of the challenges that Kaleba was talking about. So how do you balance your initiatives around sickle cell, and how has COVID impacted that, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely, and I'd actually like to add also that at Bomoko we also work in agriculture. So we have the health side and the agricultural side. And with regards to sickle cell disease, it's been extremely challenging because our patients are high risk. And as some of you may know, sickle cell disease affects primarily the lungs, and that's actually a major cause of death. So we've had a couple of, well, not a couple actually, more than that, of our patients that have been affected by COVID-19. And as Kaleba mentioned, it was very difficult at first to make them understand the importance for them to wear masks and also to social distance, because for many of you that have been to Kinshasa or the DRC in general, it's literally impossible. Once you go on a bus, or if you take public transportation, you're squished and there's really no way to go around it. The government tried very hard, and that was extremely challenging because people were not educated on COVID-19. And with regards to sickle cell disease, it was even harder, especially with the children that we work with, because yes, we have to explain to them that they have sickle cell disease, and then we have to explain to them that they're also high risk for COVID-19, which will kill them because we just don't have the necessary equipment to save lives. So that was extremely challenging and difficult for us as an institution, but we are glad to say that we haven't lost any of our patients. At Mokole Hospital, we've had, well, with regards to sickle cell disease, we haven't lost any of our patients, and overall we've had 85% clearancy, so we're pretty good. And we've been recognized by the government for that as well. I wanted to speak a little bit on agriculture because I think that COVID-19 has taught us that it's very important to be self-sufficient and sustainable, as Kahimu mentioned. And with agriculture, we realized that we import so much in the DRC, and once those, once everything was closed, once all of the borders were closed, we literally were starving. And that was a scary moment. And it's scary because a couple of years ago, I visited Goma, and Goma could literally feed all of Kinshasa, you know? And it was scary and it was frustrating because I don't know how to express myself because this is very personal to me because I saw a lot of people going through it with COVID-19, but in a country where one province, one region could feed the entire country, it was extremely frustrating to see that people were running around grocery stores or we import all of these goods. And obviously the prices were inflated. It was crazy. People were losing their jobs. And we have so much to offer to our own people. We have the necessary elements to make it through. The Congo is actually blessed in that way. Recently, the government decided to have a COVID-19 relief program. It has yet to be implemented. It was something that was working with the banks, where banks are supposed to give loans to agricultural initiatives and programs. And we have yet to see that being implemented, but that is something that I would like to ask the diaspora as a whole to really push for, however you can, because I think that it's about time that we develop sustainable means in our country, because we were able to make it through, and it was just a shame to see how it was handled overall and how we're still handling it now. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for adding the agricultural part of it. Definitely, there's a lot of areas in the Congo in general where, as you said, small provinces can feed millions and millions of people. We just have to learn how to tap into those opportunities. So Kaindo, so COVID-19 affected everyone in a different way. You being a creative, has the stay-at-home order made you more creative or less creative?
That's another good question. I think what COVID-19 did, and I don't know if some of you know, but the way I've been able to fund my business is I've had a full-time day job in HR tech, and for over 10 years, and I implement HR systems. So it was a blessing in disguise when I was laid off from my day job, because it then really made me focus on my business. And so in a way it was, there were so many things in my business that I realized that I wasn't paying attention to. So it really made me focus, and it also made me want to increase the number of styles that are produced in Goma, because obviously COVID-19 delayed a lot of the production because the artisans couldn't go and into the facilities to actually sew. So it was delayed about 3-4 months. But because of that, I realized that I need to do more work to provide them, because if they can't go in, they can't earn a wage. So I realized that my mission is even more critical. And as soon as they were able to go back, I had them, they made some masks, which was incredible because they were able to, to start working again. And masks is something easy that, could easily be turned around quickly. And so they made about 150 masks, which they shipped to me. But because of that, I have, they're actually working on my next collection as we speak. And just, it's just incredible to see how happy and how fulfilled they are to, to be making my collection. And, I was initially just making about 3 styles, and I've increased that to 15 styles. And, the women there, once the samples are made, are modeling the pieces. So I think what COVID-19 did, it really made me focus more of my time and energy into building up the capacity, of the artisans and giving them more work. And just, I'm planning on going there in December because I haven't been to Goma in 25 years, which is crazy. So I'm just more passionate than ever, given all the challenges to build a business that really has a huge social impact in my hometown and in the DRC.
Yeah, so we'll actually be giving away one of those masks to a lucky person on this call, so we want to thank you for that. So I want to be mindful of time and give people on this call a chance to answer questions. So I'm just going to ask this last question. I'll start with you, Christian. So it's kind of a two-parter. How could greater engagement from the diaspora help the Congo in all industries? You could be specific to yours. And do you have a call of action to the Congolese diaspora and people on this call?
Yeah, so I think the diaspora can play a very huge role in the development of a country. And I've heard all the panelists today talk about collaboration. So I think we need to really expand our collaboration and involve more of also the public sector. We need the public and the private sector to meet and talk together, because some of the challenges we have as entrepreneurs or small businesses sometimes are really related to, we need a lot of help that comes from our government. The one who need to help us set up the infrastructure. We cannot do good business. We cannot do farming, as they mentioned in this call, without having the road. We cannot get the product from Goma to Kinshasa if we don't have the best transportation system. We cannot do good business with the people around the world if we don't have access to energy. Some of the panelists today, they're telling us already they might be having, the power going down. So we need the good conversation to happen between the private and the public sector. And I feel like the diaspora can play a very big role in that. But also, I think when you look at other diaspora in other countries, I think they've played a very big role in, funding, many projects back home. And I feel like, the developments in our country, can also happen from the diaspora, because you don't just bring the funding, but you also bring the expertise. I remember about 6 years ago, I happened to work with a remittance company in Nairobi and Ethiopia, and I was really impressed with the level of, the Kenyan and the Ethiopian diaspora, how they are very much involved in some project back home, and how they've even built some mechanism to be able to track how the projects are being done in their country and how they're remunerating the people who are involved in this project. So you find there's a really nice value chain for them to be able to pay the people based on the progress they're making on the ground. Many times we've gone back home, we've always complained that people are eating the money. So I think if we are able to set up those structures, it will allow us to build that platform that we need. So I think the diaspora can, already bring that conversation, engaging our public, the public sector, and be able to bring the changes that we need.
Thank you. Jeanette, looks like your light went out, but we can still see a little bit of you. You want to add to that? Or did she freeze? I guess, Kaleba, you can take this.
Yeah, sure. To add to, it's a what's his name? I forgot.
Christian.
Sorry, I almost called him Serge. I was looking it up. To add to what Christian said, I think the diaspora really has to realize, that there really are powerhouses. Each one of them. What I saw last year at the CDIS is, a group of young and talented individuals that could bring so much to the country. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think the CDIS is a great platform. They can go through the CDIS to be able to reach out to organizations already doing great work on the ground. We need, for instance, even, I was just speak, from a specific organization, we need the expertise that I saw there. We're training young men and women to be entrepreneurs, but we as a country never benefited from AGOA because of, some human rights abuses at that time when the former president was in power. And now the US started engaging more and start opening up more doors for the DRC. But so we are very behind. Christian has laid out a very good example of Kenya, where they're ahead of us in terms of training and everything else, because they benefit from everything, from all the techno support from other countries, including the United States. But we have that already within our community, as I saw last year. So I would plead with the young, talented Congolese in the diaspora to really reach out as much as possible to organizations, and both in the public sector and the private sector, to see what they can bring to the table in terms of expertise. We started having conversations with the Congo about this year. I think you guys are planning a trip to Congo next year. What you could bring to organizations, having sessions, training sessions, with different organizations in different areas. So that should be structured, and we should have that as a follow-up. One thing I would ask is, when we start something, I think it would be a very strong follow-up. Like what we're having now, it's kind of a follow-up to what happened last year. So absolutely, engagement with organizations already doing great work, it would be a good start. And you get to discover many more who are on the ground who are doing serious work in the DRC. So that's what I would say that the diaspora can be involved with.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Caleb and Christian said. Collaboration, within the diaspora and also on the ground, right? And also, I feel just not being scared to start, ventures, to start businesses, however small they may be, like in Congo, right? Because I think sometimes entrepreneurs think everything needs to be in place in order to make a difference. And, you can start small. And I'm a perfect example of that. My first production in Congo was making clutches. I think I spoke about that last year at CDIS. So, you just have to start, even if you're not on the ground. I haven't been back to Goma. I've been to Kinshasa, but I haven't been to Goma. And it might be seen as a bit risky, me, starting this venture when I haven't really, met the people. But I talk to them, WhatsApp, we can video chat. So I'm connected to them. So just letting people know that, if you have an idea, just reach out to people on the ground, to help you make it a reality. And also just, I'd say to the diaspora, just spread the word about CDIS, about what we're all doing, because that makes an impact more than you know. So tell your friends and your family, about what's going on, and, all the businesses and all the organizations that are really trying to make a difference back home in Congo. And I think the more we do that, the more we can get the private and the public sector to really buy in when they see that, clothing is being produced and sold in stores that is made in Congo, for example.
Well, so before we open for the Q&A, this is a really lighthearted question. So one of the classic questions that we like to ask in CDIS is fufu or kwanga? So I want to add to that, and primus or tembo? So fufu or kwanga or primus or tembo? Me, I'm a kwanga guy, and I like tembo. I'll start with Jeanette.
You know what? I can't choose between fufu or kwanga because they're both my favorite. So no, I can't choose. Yeah, it really depends on my mood. But I don't drink beer, so I don't know what the two taste like. But I'll have a vitalo. I don't know if that's Congolese. I don't think that's Congolese made, but you know, I'll have a vitalo.
Christian?
Yeah, any day I will go with kwanga. And yeah, I haven't tasted too much of tembo, but I like premise.
I would definitely go with kwanga. I had too much fufu in boarding school, so I do kwanga. And I'm not a beer person, but you know, if I have to try both, I'll go on the lighter side, which will be primus.
Definitely fufu for sure. It's like my favorite with pondu. Yeah, I love it. And then I'm not a beer person either, but like a cold primus on like a hot Kinshasa night is my way to go.
So if you would like to ask a question.
I think Jeanette is back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna open up for Q&A. So if you would like to ask a question, you can use the raise your hand function and we will call on you. And don't be shy, you can turn on your cameras. We wanna see your beautiful faces. And so we have one. Gloria?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much to the panelists for your incredible contribution. My question is a bit more specific for Christian, but I'm sure everybody on the panel will have an opinion on it. You work in the field of blockchain and technology, it's a field that is very dependent on internet access, technology and electricity, which we know these are things that our country, the Congo, struggles in. We lack so much in this area. And I'm just curious, how do you work, maybe not just in the Congo, even in Kenya and other places where you work, how do you navigate these limitations while you work in this field? And especially during COVID nowadays, here in America, we can easily say, oh, I'm attending my classes online, which is not a reality back home. What are some of the practical ways that we in the diaspora can really solve this lack of access to internet and technology?
Yeah, so I think from my background in technology, one of the things I say, there's a need for transformational change. And you know, this is me avoiding to say about social impact and all. There's need for transformational change. And for us to make that happen, we need to build revolutionary technologies. And all the system that we use today, they lack something that's really important, is an incentive model. Because when you set up a power plant, you know, it's really hard to maintain it if there's no incentive model. So blockchain technology today brings all that aspect. It becomes easy for me to say, I want to invest in a mining farm and set up this technology and make sure it's up and running because I know there's an incentive for me to run this farm. And this is what the technology brings to us. Today we have the Inga Dam that can produce electricity for the whole of Africa. But you know, there's always excess power that goes into waste, you know, instead of it to benefit the people in the country. And you know, when we think about distribution of energy, you know, this cannot be centralized to the government. This needs to be decentralized, but the only best way to decentralize it, you need to find how to build an incentive model. And this is something that, you know, we are basically testing various, you know, monetization model and how we can even work with different people in remote area so that we can get to bring power to them. But the only way we can actually make that from happening is to figure out that incentive model. And that's what blockchain is bringing to us. So the diaspora today, I think one of the challenge as an entrepreneur or at the Black community, we know we don't have access to funding. You know, it's really hard when you're knocking into these doors to get people who are willing to invest in you. So only my own people are able to invest in my company. So that's for me, it's always a call to work with the people I know and see how we can build now that investment model and hold each other accountable. And I can say blockchain technology today is transparent. If I send you one BTC, you know, if I start teaching about cryptocurrency today, you know, I'll take the whole hour. But blockchain technology, if I send you Bitcoin, you're able to trace it. So you're able to distribute a token to manage a project and being able to give the tokens based on the progress that's being, you know, made on that particular project. That's only blockchain can do it. Our financial systems today, you know, they're managed by people in the back doors. We don't know what's happening behind the doors. You know, you don't know who is managing your money or your finances. So with blockchain technology, you know, it's easy for all of us today to hold each other accountable in the way we fund each other, the way we give each other interest rates, you know, and even the more the technology is decentralized, the less it's become costly to the people, and it becomes even easy to access. Financial inclusion become easy even to the people who don't have access to it in remote places. So that's really what we are trying to explore with the work we are doing at Ujengo Lab, and we're joining forces with other with our friends in Nairobi, Kenya. So I have many of my colleagues who have joined us today for the call, and this is a discussion we are having every day with any stakeholder who are coming to be involved in our projects.
Any other questions, or does?
Yes, I have a question, if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Bas Zuidberg. I'm living in South Africa, but I work in DRC, and I work a lot in investment. I'm a co-founder of a business angel network in Kinshasa called Congo Business Angels. And one of the topics that we are discussing within the network is attracting diaspora investors into DRC. I'm just curious, you know, following on the comments of the gentleman just now, Christian. I'm just curious to hear about the appetite within the diaspora in the US for investing in new businesses in DRC. So just an open question.
Yeah, so I think it's a conversation that's happening right now. When you're looking at the Ethiopian diaspora, I've had to interact with them a lot. They've really funded a lot of projects back home, building the technology hubs and even supporting entrepreneurs back home. When you look at Nigeria, I'm sure you're very familiar with the Urban Angel Network. They've been really investing in a lot of technology back home in Nigeria. I think this is a conversation as well we are having with some of the local investors, because we need to, one of the things we haven't gotten is really the local investors to work with our technology back home, because the risk sometimes it's very high. But for me, I also think we need to build that model that allow us to bring in the investors and see how we can mitigate those risks together. So it's a conversation that's really happening right now. And I think the company I started right now has been fully funded with the folks I'm working with, you know, the Tomisi, the Duser, you know, they work so hard to fund our initial operations. And right now we are launching an amazing project back home. We are launching a mobile phone in the country. And all this has been the effort of the people I met through the Congolese Diaspora Summit. So it's something that's happening not at the level we really want it to happen, but I think any individual effort that we are putting into this will allow us to achieve this in 5-10 years, in a very, very short period of time.
Does anyone, other panelists, want to add to that about investment and how we can really engage the diaspora to invest in a lot in projects in the Congo?
If I may add something, just what Chris has said,
I think if the efforts are seen, the initial project that Chris has undertaken, and other folks from the diaspora, that would encourage investors to really engage with in the DRC. The problem has been we've been considered as a high risk country, and when they see that efforts have been done at the local level, but along with the folks from the DRC, it's bringing in more encouragement from others to join the efforts in the DRC. So these are examples to follow, and projects are sustainable to be proven successful. Then we are able to engage with more investors to grow our projects.
Luca, I think you have a question.
Yes, I do. So thank you again to all the panelists who have participated today. As some of you know, we were trying to plan our first ever return back to Congo. And obviously, unfortunately, COVID-19 had other plans for us. But as we're thinking through and kind of our new programming and thinking about bringing this for 2021, as panelists, are there some areas or some places that you think that we as CDIS should be considering as a part of our itinerary, or places that we should be thinking about bringing the folks who participate in this trip? And if so, let us know.
Yeah, there is actually quite an interesting scene which is emerging. It's still in its infancy, but yes, in Kinshasa, I would say there's 3 or 4 serious incubators. There are networks of investors which are starting to emerge. Same is happening in Lubumbashi. There's a few incubators in Goma as well. So yes, it's not only in Kinshasa. Fortunately, the World Bank has also seen this and has initiated a project which has just kicked off, supporting startup businesses, female-run businesses, as well as SMEs. That's a total, I think it's $100 million. It's a 5-year project. So there's a lot of excitement in DRC. Currently, there is a law in the making, specifically being written to support the creation of startups. The government yesterday announced the creation of a guarantee fund to help startups in the guarantees, the collateral required for financing. So there are things happening. I think there's a lot of goodwill. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to help in any way possible in your program.
Thank you. And also just wanted to kick that back to Jeanette, Kahindo, and Kaleba, and also Christian, if there are other places that you all think that we should be thinking about, definitely let us know. Now I know, Kahindo, you've talked about all the work that you're doing in Goma. I know that Kaleba, you do a lot of work as well in Kivu and in Bukavu. Jeanette, I know you're in Kinshasa, and Christian, you're a little bit outside in Nairobi, but maybe there are some spots and places that we should be thinking about that aren't necessarily just within Goma, Bukavu, and Kinshasa.
Yeah.
I'll let you go. Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we are making small progress in Kinshasa. We have an amazing manager, Alpha, who is very knowledgeable about the tech ecosystem. He's been training a lot of software engineers back home. So he'll be the guy who, available to take you guys around and help you guys with setting up the agenda for visiting in Congo, in Kinshasa, and to kind of have that understanding of the technology ecosystem and see how we can collaborate and work and support them. Yeah, so we are hopeful by next year we will have an opportunity to launch our facility and you'll be able to kind of experience, the work we are planning to do in terms of training the young engineers back home, but also more importantly, connecting them to some of the projects we are having in our pipeline. Yeah.
I think Jeanette, I think you wanted to add something to that.
Yes, in terms of obviously the places to go, it all depends on how long it's been since you've been back home or since you last visited. Obviously, Kinshasa would be a great place to start, and Lubumbashi as well. But in terms of some of the connections that you should make before coming back, I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with the Makutano team, with Nicole Sulu, because she has a great network. The U.S. Embassy, we actually have, the embassy has a very dynamic ambassador, so that would be a really good person to touch base with as well. And also, there's a networking team called Breakfast Connection. We can definitely talk about this later on, but those are some of the groups that would be good to work with once you decide to come back, in terms of networking and developing an agenda, as Christian was mentioning. Thank you.
I would say also depending on your timing and how long you plan on being in the DRC, I would suggest also Kolwezi. Kolwezi is the capital for the province of Lualaba. There's a lot of traction going on over there. So the province of Lualaba, because of all the mining activities, has been developed. It developed a lot in the last maybe few years, and it is considered the pilot province of the DRC. So what we're doing in that region is to train the young men and women who are just to kind of diversify, taking them out of the mines and redirect them to other entrepreneurial opportunities. And I think it would be really great to see the work that's been done there. There is a huge agriculture project of 3,000 acres that's been launched there to, following what Jeanette has said before, the issues with, food security with COVID. It's been considered mainly as a mining province, but there's a need to diversify. So I think it would be great to see that and to see great potential that the DRC can offer. Those are some great, touristic sites, in that region. So I would encourage for you to consider that, and we can, like Jeanette said, I'll be able to offer more information about it.
Thank you. Before I give it back to you, Kevin. Well, we look forward to seeing all of you when we do make it to the continent.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, I would like to thank our panelists one more time. Thank you for all your great insight. And I hope, for me, myself, I can say that this is leaving me more inspired than I was. So I look forward to what we have to offer next year and, and years to come. So this will close out our panel section for the day. I'm gonna hand it back up to Luco. I think she has something to say. She looks a little thirsty over there. So,
before we close out, I mean, I know it's early. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, but we just wanted to toast to being able to have our first year. So whatever beverage that you have, whether it's, your coffee or maybe something a little bit more special, let's toast. And then I think we're going to have an opportunity for folks who do want to stay around a little longer. We're going to go into some breakout rooms for people who would like to chat and just kind of learn a little bit more about CDIS. So right now I would just raise a toast if everyone wants to raise their glasses. And we're mindful of people's time. So if after this you have to go, feel free to go. But here's just a quick toast to say thank you to everyone who's made CDIS possible from 2018 to 2021. So here we go. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ching, ching.
And now, Jim, I don't know if you want to do any closing words or if you, closing words before we get into the breakout session rooms.
No, definitely just express again gratitude to the panelists that made it possible, the attendees that came, the donors, the sponsors, everybody that really contributed to making CDIS a reality, helping turn it from an idea to an event that people got a lot out of. So very proud and very grateful for everyone. Again, we're gonna have breakout rooms now. We encourage you to stay around to network a little bit, get to know each other and see how we can continue to strengthen and grow the CDIS community.